Pittsburgh's a great example. Great ownership, great culture, really good coach. They draft well. They have continuity.
So I know it's just the preseason, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking so dominant, and every year they are one of the most slept on teams in the league. I know they're not going to be like Super Bowl contenders quite yet or anything, but they most definitely are headed on the right path, and I think they have one of the best young cores in the entire league. I know I've talked about this team a few times before, so I'm not going to repeat and talk about the same things, but there is just so much news now that the preseason has officially wrapped up. Before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. I'm on the road to 20,000 subscribers, and all your support truly means the world. Alright, so starting off, this offseason, many people expected Kenny Pickett to take a second-year leap because last season, he immensely improved from game 1 to the end of the season, and it just felt like he was always getting more and more comfortable as the season went on. This preseason, Pickett threw for 199 yards with 2 touchdowns on only 15 attempts, which is just crazy, and I know it's just the preseason, but really for the most part, he was facing first-string defenses, so it's nothing to completely ignore. There were also a few other names that turned some heads, like Calvin Austin, who is an absolute speedster, and I think he is the chance to be elite on special teams, and he's a very solid receiver as well. And like, he is so fast that he literally could be Cheetah 2.0. And when he gets the ball with space to run, you can just see the excitement on everyone's face on that Pittsburgh sideline. And switching gears real quick, I'm sure most of you have already heard the news that the Steelers traded away Kevin Dotson to the Rams for some draft compensation, so let me know in the comments below how you feel about that. Anyways, now I want to talk about Mike Tomlin because he just doesn't get near enough credit for what he does year in and year out. Like, people were even making fun of how the Steelers have recently been around 500 and not done anything in the playoffs. And even crazier, I've heard some spoiled Pittsburgh fans say that Tomlin should be fired for his lack of recent success, which is just ridiculous, and people don't even understand how much of a train wreck that could be. But to be fair, most of the fans have only seen greatness from this franchise, and some really don't even know what an average season feels like, so I do sort of understand it. But for a normal franchise, last season really could have gone downhill fast, and Tomlin just has an unreal ability to always keep the ship afloat no matter what comes his way. And going from having a Hall of Fame quarterback in Big Ben for over a decade to a new inexperienced rookie QB is quite the change. Also, one thing that has gotten massively overlooked from Pittsburgh last year is the fact that once Kenny Pickett got accustomed to the league, this team literally didn't lose. They won 3 of 5 and then went on a 4-game winning streak to close out the season and almost snuck into the playoffs. And man, if Kenny Pickett can make that second-year leap, then things are gonna be crazy because, to be completely fair, he wasn't the greatest last season, but showed the ability to step up and make big plays in clutch moments, which alone shows a ton of potential. Alright, now to get into what this team did in the preseason and camp, there was just so much to talk about because, like I said, so many young guys turned a lot of heads, but I guess the first player I should talk about is George Pickens because, man, that guy can make some insane catches and it's fun to watch. Pickens and Deontay Johnson have a chance to be one of the more underrated duos this year, and last season, it was wild how Johnson was not getting touchdowns because he put up so much production and was getting unbelievably unlucky in the red zone. And with that being said, I think the law of averages definitely apply to why Johnson could have a breakout season this year. And for Pickens, last season he put up 801 yards, and now that he is stepping into the wide receiver 2 role, his numbers obviously are expected to go up, and I think he will easily go for over 1,000 this year. The Steelers ended up going 3-0 in the preseason, and like I said, I know it doesn't really matter, but at the same time, it does, because the young players just looked so dominant against the opposing starters and backups, and they capped things off with a 24-0 win over the Atlanta Falcons. I'm definitely going to be interested to see what way the Steelers run their offense this upcoming season, because I've heard so many people say that they are going to be super run heavy with Najee Harris, and then I've heard people say that they are all in on Pickett because he could very easily take that second-year leap. Personally, I think they should use Pickett as much as possible to see what they really have in him, and Tomlin is such a good coach that if things aren't working, he will adjust right away. Anyways, moving on, now I want to talk about the real most important part of this team in the offensive line. I know they just traded away Kevin Dotson, but this is definitely one of the deeper lines they've had in years, and even though it isn't perfect, it's good enough, which is crucial because just 2 years ago, everyone was basically panicking about this group. According to Matt Canada, right now, they have 3 really good tackles competing against each other, and he praised rookie Broderick Jones for really coming along and adapting to what the NFL is like very quickly and early in camp. and he also said that he works insanely hard and is so coachable. So he's definitely a guy that many people will have their eyes on throughout the season, and pretty much everyone will be watching the whole unit because this is a big year for them. Anyways, switching over to the defensive side of things, this side is the main reason for why the Steelers have been able to always be above 500 over the last few seasons. They just always keep the score within striking distance no matter who they face, and like I said a million times in previous videos, you will never see them down by more than 14. And because of that, they're able to steal 1 or 2 games a year, which is huge in the long run. This defense already balled out in the preseason and did not allow many points, and obviously the top guys barely even played, so it just shows how good the overall scheme is from top to bottom. In terms of that last Falcons game, some names that made plays included Landon Roberts, who blew up a running play for a 4-yard loss, TJ Watt, who got to Taylor Heineke, and Mark Robinson and newly drafted Joey Porter Jr. forced a fumble. I know there was a lot more that happened, but those were just a few of the plays that stood out to me. That's really all I have to say for this video. Ultimately, the season is going to come down to Kenny Pickett and this young offense, because if they can be better than league average, then this could be a sneaky playoff team with how good the defense is, and once all the young players develop, then it's over for the rest of the league, which I hate to say as a Cleveland Browns fan. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you all so much for watching, and with the NFL season starting up in less than 10 days, I'm going to be putting out so much content, so make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell to stay tuned, and until then, I will see you all later.